Yeah, what's going on, people? Hope you're well. Um, Big up to all of you for being here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to this channel. I hope you're all had a good day. We're a little bit late tonight. I hope those of you that are joining me, have managed to catch up on Love Island because it's back, people. And I'm sure that all of you watch it. I can't even sit there and lie to you. It's like a guilty pleasure. It's easy TV, and it makes me realize my life is actually okay. So for those of you that enjoy Love Island, you know what? Big up to you, man. It's a guilty pleasure for a lot of people. Back on the TV, clearly, clearly, there's no football on the TV if we're talking about Love Island. I've had a good day. The sun's been shining. I've had a fresh trim. Things are looking up. Go on holiday at the weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. So I thought, you know what? Let's get some football talk in this evening before tomorrow comes. We're going to talk a little bit about Arsenal. We're going to talk a little bit about Manchester City and that news. We're going to talk a little bit about the Conor Gallagher news and if he is worth the price tag Chelsea have want to put on him. We're going to talk about Osimhen and Sesko and the Fabrizio Romano update about Sesko, which is an interesting one. And then a little bit about what we still believe we need in terms of perhaps the players we're not linked with that we should be, or positions that we're not linked with that we should be. Before we do that, we are very, 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 very close to 20k. Please, please, please hit the subscribe button because we are only literally just under 400 away from 20k. That means we need all of you tonight and on the catch up and tomorrow morning to hit the subscribe button. Like and subscribe these videos, please. I beg you, because that will allow us to get to our target, which of course is 20k, which is the next target that we want to be hitting, people. So please make sure that we do that. I need to be seeing you hitting the like and subscribe. I want to make sure that we get towards that 20k ASAP and that we try and get 100 likes on this video as soon as possible. That's all we've got to do. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Listen, we are going to be talking about Arsenal tonight, and we are going to mention Manchester City very briefly. I'm kind of bored of it. It's taking over. We need some other transfer news to come in so that we don't talk about it because it's getting a bit silly, if I'm honest with you, and rather embarrassing, I would say the word is, on the Manchester City and Premier League situation. In fact, let's talk about that first. Manchester City, is this an admission of guilt? Let me know in the chat if you think it is. Is this them having the cockiness to believe they've done nothing wrong, so they're coming for the Premier League now to sue them? If the Premier League are to hold their hands up and say that this law is our fault and we are guilty as well, what happens then? This is a mess. This is a joke. This is embarrassing, and it needs to be sorted quickly. Within the next couple of weeks, we need to know what the hell's going on, and we also need to understand where this links or does not link with 115 at Manchester City, because they're saying it's completely separate and it is nothing to do with 115. Well, I would beg to differ. And the reason I say that is because it is to do with 115, whether they're guilty or innocent, because they are basically saying we're innocent, 115 means nothing, and this is why we're coming for you because of this law that you say is put in place. And where is it? Is it a law? Who's brought this law in? If they are actually guilty and they're admitting that they're guilty, they're then saying, well, we don't think the law is right, and that shouldn't really be looking at. So one way or the other, it is linked with 115. Yeah. If you think this is separate to 115, you're correct. But ask yourself this: if City had done nothing in terms of 115, why would this be a thing? Why would they be caring about what happens? Now, he's come out, hasn't he, in an interview a couple of days ago saying, oh, this has ruined the transfer window and loan deals and everything's up in the air now. And you know what? He might have a point in some respect, because the window of the winter was completely ruined by PSR. Absolutely it was. The profit and sustainability rules were a joke and it prevented anybody from doing any business. So he's kind of right in that respect. But let's just see how this summer plays out. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this, people. Do you believe that this summer is going to be a mental one? Are we going to see a Bellingham go for 100 million? Are we going to see a Rice go for 100 million? Or are people going to be looking towards 50 million pound players, 25 million pound players, 30 million pound players? Is it going to be more of a summer like that? Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. If you think this is going to affect the summer window, PSR, and the rule changes and stuff like that, please let me know. If you think that's the case, then let me know in the chat. Because I tell you what, I'm not sure that it will, as much as people are believing. Not the summer one. It might be we get to the winter again and things happen. It might be that long down the road, January transfer windows open for loan only or free transfers. It might be that. But for this summer window, I can't say that it's going to be ruined. These rules are going to ruin it when we're linked with players that could be worth up to £100 million still. So let's just see what happens. I don't want to talk much more about the Manchester City situation. There's a lot of people saying that they're going to sue the Premier League and it's going to be messy. Let them do what they want, man. I want to concentrate on Arsenal Football Club. I support them. My love for them is more than what happens in Manchester City throwing their toys out the pram and Premier Leagues getting involved with 115. I'd rather concentrate on what we're going to do because you know what? All that might be an absolute mess and it might actually allow us to concentrate on what we're going to do and let them be distracted a bit more. So let's hope that it's a positive as opposed to a negative for us. I want to talk about Fabrizio Romano and Sesko because there has been rumours come out in relation to Benjamin Sesko. And of course, Chelsea are very serious about Benjamin Sesko. That is according to Ben Jacobs, who, you know, a lot of people do respect and believe is reliable. Chelsea have apparently scouted this guy for a couple of years. I reported yesterday that I thought Chelsea were probably not scouting and just fancied him because Arsenal did, but maybe that was a bit lazy on my half. If you read more into it, like I should have done before making that statement, the research is that they do quite like the player and they have been after him for a while, looked at him for a while. But Fabrizio Romano has stated that Benjamin Sesko is taking some more days to decide his future. There is still new contract proposals from Leipzig on the table, but Sesko is said to be interested in a move. Now, Chelsea and Arsenal are two teams that are interested in Benjamin Sesko. Now, he's got two options in respect to the clubs, but he's also got two options of guaranteed first team football, which I think is a massive key part to this. He believes he'll play more game time at Chelsea. He will. He's guaranteed to start up front. He's better than Jackson. He's going to go ahead of him. In my opinion, he's better than Jackson anyway, from what I can see. If they're going to be spending, 35 million on Jackson, potentially more money, 50, 45 on Sesko, and it looks like he's going to be starting. If he comes to Arsenal, I don't think he's guaranteed first team football. I think we said last night on the show, excuse me, I've got a bit of indigestion today. I think personally, when you look at what Sesko might bring to Arsenal, I don't think it guarantees first team football ahead of Kai Havertz. So the fact that he ended the season so well. So I have to say, I think if Sesko decides his future, I can actually see why it might not just be, boom, I want to go to the first club that offers me. I think he will be considering his options. So let's see what happens. Do me a favor, people. Make sure you go follow James B. Absolute legend. You all know James well from AFTV, good friend of mine, and big up to you, my friend. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. This is great work there, and I believe Ornstein predicted a slow start to the window and that it would pick up big time at the end of August. It's worth checking the Athletic podcast, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. This is an interesting statement, and I think that Ornstein is one of those that I would say is probably the most, if not one of the most reliable, along with Fabrizio Romano. And I honestly believe that it's not going to make too much of a difference, these PSR rules. And I think that potentially in January you might see it again. But I honestly don't feel like it will get to a stage that in this summer we'll see a massive hit. But it could be wrong. If you listen to Tom, if you listen to Harry, they believe that there will be some hits in this summer transfer window that will prevent it. And we've spoken already, haven't we, on this channel and other channels in relation to Bruno Guimaraes and how we might not be able to release that clause even if we wanted to because of the PSR. Even across 3 years of installments, we still may not have enough and it may tip us across the edge, and we are just not willing to try that. We're just not. Make sure you do me a favor, go follow James B. Absolute love to you, man, and love to you as well, my bro. So make sure that you're doing that. James doing unbelievable things on his channel now as well, pretty much content every day, and it's fantastic production. So big up to him, man. And big up to all of you. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you've hit subscribe if you've not done so already. Let me know your thoughts on Sesko in the chat. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this one, because for me, I'm looking at the situation like this. I think this is a good signing. I don't think it's an elite signing. I don't think it's one that will guarantee us to get across the line. I also don't think it's one that will guarantee 20 to 25 goals. But I asked the question this: who is that guy? Because I see Alexander Isak now wants to stay at Newcastle, and that was clear this season that he was going to stay there. I don't think it's any doubt that other clubs, as well as Arsenal, are going to be looking at this guy. But if he's going to be staying there for that season, who is the guy that Arsenal go and get that guarantees 20 to 25 goals? Is it Tony or Watkins because they're Premier League proven? Is it Victor Osimhen, who we're going to mention in a minute? Is it Sesko himself? Is it somebody like, I don't know, Victor Gyökeres over at Sporting Lisbon? Or is it someone that we've not even thought of yet? Yeah, is it someone that people are just looking at at the kind of outset of Boniface or Garassi or somebody like that people will just throw at me and go and get him? I'd love to know. I'd love to know your thoughts on that one because I don't think there's that many number nines out there anymore. I honestly believe the talent pool is completely depleted in comparison to what it was in the 90s, the 2000s, and the late 2010s. I don't think we've got them players anymore. Now, maybe this is really cruel for me to say, but hear me out. Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins are being suggested as potential targets for Arsenal, right? The potential targets for Arsenal to play up front as a number 9 and take us across the line for a title. In 2005, 6, 7, would Peter Crouch have done that at Arsenal? Would Emil Heskey have done that at Arsenal? Would Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank or Darren Bent or Agbonlahor or Darius Vassell even go back further? Look at somebody like Les Ferdinand or maybe Jermaine Defoe, Robbie Fowler. Those sort of players, for me, are all very good strikers, Premier League proven strikers. But would they have got Arsenal across the line instead of somebody like Thierry Henry? I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have been guaranteed to get us 30 goals. That's the level for me of Toney and Watkins. And some might even believe that Toney and Watkins aren't as good as some of those names I've just said. Certainly not at the age of what? They're both 28 years old, soon to be 29, I believe. I don't think they're guaranteed to take Arsenal across the line and they are absolute title winners. Now, I like Ivan Toney and I like Ollie Watkins, but to say that would guarantee Arsenal to get across the line, I think is a real bold claim. And the names people might laugh when I say Darren Bent and Darius Vassell and Emil Heskey. They might go, what? They're much worse. Go and take a look at their careers and tell me that they are not worse than, or better, sorry, tell me they're not better than Toney and Watkins. I think they are. I think they are. And we're asking those potentially to be the number 9 at Arsenal. Now, is that me being harsh on Toney and Watkins? No, it's me proving a point that the talent has completely gone. That talent pool is absolutely depleted. So let's be real. In those days, did we look at them and go, they need to be Arsenal's number 1? We didn't. So why are we now? Now, people might go, yeah, but we had Thierry Henry then. Yeah. Forget that. Look at Adebayor. Look at when he was leaving to go Man City. Who did we had? Van Persie was injury prone. Who was going to come in? Did we look at any of those names that are Toney and Watkins? Or did we look at the elite level after that? Did we try to go and get that next big star? So I don't know, man. I'm just looking at it now thinking, where's the talent? And that's where I'm at. So the striker one's interesting. Sticking with the striker situation, let's talk about this Osimhen news. I'm going to bring this up now and read this out to you. The Daily Express, the Daily Mail, the Evening Standard, Metro, and some of the other Caught Offside, TalkSport, Sun, all of these guys, all of these, how do I be polite? All of these sources that I don't see as heavily reliable, however, are suggesting that Osimhen and Arsenal, it will not go away. This rumor will not go away. Now, I saw somebody in the chat, a few of you in the chat earlier saying, I don't want Osimhen anywhere near Arsenal. I don't think he's worth the money. I don't think he's anything but an injury-prone player. He's had one good year at Napoli, blah, 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 blah. I like Osimhen. I think he's a beast. I think he's got an eye for goal, and I think he'd do well in the Premier League. Do I think it would be risk-free? Absolutely not. Do I think he would be injury-prone? Probably, because he's been at Napoli. Do I think he killed it in the African Cup of Nations? No. Do I think he's had a great season at Napoli? No. But for me, what would be more risky ahead of the Sesko situation is his 112 or 120 million pounds or million euros release clause. That's just mad. That's absolutely mad. To bring a player to the Premier League at 25, 26 years old, who's had a couple of good seasons at Napoli, and then we're expecting him to get Arsenal across the line. So again, I asked the question, is that less of a risk than Sesko? I don't know that it is or it isn't. But the rumour has it that Arsenal are not only prepared to go in for Osimhen, but Napoli are looking at a swap deal. And it's not just with one player, it's with 2 players. And the 2 players that they're interested in talking to from Arsenal are Emil Smith-Rowe and Takehiro Tomiyasu. So if you're looking at those 2 players going the other way for Osimhen, what cash deal are we having for that? Because if he's just, let's say, 100 million euros, I reckon Tomiyasu is going to get us, 30 million for his centre-back? We bought him for about, was it 20? Something like that? Or was it 15? I don't know. Something like that. But for me, he can get across the whole back line. I would be keeping Tomiyasu. Smith-Rowe, I'd probably be keeping him, but he's probably going to be 35 million pounds. So that means that we're probably going to have to pay 40 million plus those two. I just don't see this happening. I'll be stunned. I think they want money for Smith-Rowe. I don't think they want to put him in a swap deal. And I don't think Tomiyasu's one that we want to be getting rid of, because I would say he is the strongest centre back cover that we've got. He's defensively solid, aerial ability is good, one-on-one defending fantastic, versatile, can play right back, left back, and centre back. I don't want to be getting rid of Tomiyasu. Let me tell you that now. I actually think he's been a very underrated player for Arsenal. I think he's come in and, got injury prone. But actually, when you look at what he's done and look at what he's still doing, I'm a fan of it. So when he's played this season, I actually think he's been one of our best defenders. I'll say that. I honestly believe that. So I'm a fan. Somebody who doesn't like Tomiyasu is my good friend, Footy Judge Mo. Mo, big up to yourself, man. Make sure you're doing me a favor and go and support this guy, please. Here for the support, Dan. Listen, make sure you go support Mo as well, please, on Footy Judge Mo. Absolutely flying, man. On the way to 30k already. This guy only started, 6 months ago? Big up to you, my bro. Great to see good people doing well. So please make sure that you go and support Judge Mo. I think Tomiyasu is going to stay at Arsenal. I don't think this Napoli rumour is actually true at all. I'm not so sure that it's anything more than a smokescreen about the Sesko situation. If I'm brutally honest, I believe that we are in for Sesko. I believe he is the one that we're looking at as the number one. And I'm not so sure personally that Osimhen is a guy that we are looking at seriously. I think it's a rumour that's come about. Napoli with Conte now being the manager probably is looking at a few players, and they thought, let's do a couple of rumours about Arsenal and Osimhen, and let's just chuck in a couple of names that perhaps Napoli will be interested in. Now, Tomiyasu was actually in Serie A, wasn't he, when we bought him from Bologna? So obviously we're going to know how he is over in Serie A. So potentially, they'll be interested in that. But I don't think they're going anywhere. Let's be real. Big up to Igal, man, and his raid. Big up to him for redirecting everybody over here, man. Absolute love to this guy. Make sure you are going and smashing the like and subscribe over at Igal Talks Football. Igal is a massive support for this channel, and we are going to be redirecting to his channel straight after this at 11 p.m. So please make sure that you go over there and show your love. Big up to Igal and everybody that's come over. Much appreciated. I really do mean that. Let's talk a little bit about another player that we are linked with, shall we? Let's talk about a guy that I am literally learning the name of today. Viktor Tsyganov. Viktor Tsyganov is a winger from Girona. Now, Girona have been a team that have come out of nowhere, let's be real. It's a manager that a lot of people are looking at in terms of his high potential. We all know the links with Manchester City. They've got Savio coming their way over, who's been one of the best wingers in La Liga. And this is the other winger they've got. Tsygankov, if I've got that name right, is a player that we are apparently looking at. And a lot of people are talking about this guy. Now, let me look at his stats right now. I think he's more of a wide player, attacking midfielder. I think he can play in a number of positions. I think he's quite good on both wings, but don't correct me if I'm wrong there. Don't quote me on that. More of an attacking midfielder and winger, it's being told when I'm looking at it here for La Liga and Girona. 8 goals, 7 assists. Nothing major, but for 30 goals, it's pretty good. He's 26 years old. He's somebody who we are apparently looking at. Born in Israel, but is actually a part of the Ukraine national team. And I think it's one that we are looking at because, let's be real, we've got 2 options here. We either go for a right winger to cover for Saka and the number 9, or we just go for a 9 and we use Jesus as right wing. And I would only be for the first option if we went and got somebody who I believe is a non-risk player. And what I mean by that is Pedro Neto, Michael Elise, Kvaratskhelia, somebody who's going to come in and as an absolute baller. Now, I don't know enough about Tsygankov. I don't know if he's going to be a risk or not. At 26 years old, it's a good age. I don't think it's a player who I look at that's going to be dead and buried. I also don't think it's a player that is going to be looked at as a huge waste of money if we was to get him in. So I don't think he's going to be 70 or 80 million. So I've got to be honest. I don't really think that there's much of an issue with me being linked with a player like that. I saw the other day we were linked with Pedro Neto, and I've got to be honest, I probably would have him as my number 1. And people might think that's crazy to pick him ahead of Michael Elise due to injuries. But me and Troops were on here not long ago talking about this. This guy needs 20 to 25 games, not 50. he can play 20 to 25 games without getting an injury. And let's be real, the injuries aren't like long-term that keeps him out for 3 years. They're like another hamstring pull that's gone. He had a surgery on one, I think that took him out for a while, but actually he was back playing again, and then he pulled out of a muscle injury. So those kind of muscle injuries are a frustrating thing, right? Very frustrating. But I have to say this, I do believe Pedro Neto is probably one of the best shouts because he can play left, he can play right, he can play false nine, he can play 10, and I think he could probably have the ability to go a little bit deeper if he had to. So I think this is terms of versatility. Might cost 50 to 60 million, but let's be real, man. He's an absolute baller, and it's one that I would 100% look at doing. Big up to Max. Big up, bro. Big up, my guy. And if you do want to be a member of the channel, then please make sure you do as Max has. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that join button so you can support the channel. Much appreciated. Big up to my guy Elliot as well. Absolute legend, man. We need to get you back on here, my guy. Big up, Dan. Big up. Keep up the great work. Looking forward to the next great debate. Get the likes up for this great entertainment. Big up to you, my bro. Make sure that you do me a favor. Go follow Elliot on LRob over at Instagram. Okay, let's quickly talk about other news about what I believe is going to be an interesting potential signing for somebody. Now, I don't say that this is something that I would do, but at the moment it's in the news that we're going to be looking, or not we're going to be looking, but Conor Gallagher and Chelsea, £50 million. Now, is that a good deal? Now, I have to say this. Chelsea are looking to sell him and Trevor Chalobah because they get 100% profit, right? Because they're obviously coming from the youth academy. When I look at it, I think he's been one of Chelsea's best players this season. Now, a lot of people that watch this, that are Chelsea fans, will laugh at that and say that's mad. I think he's been better than Caicedo and Enzo in midfield. I think he's got the legs. I think he's got the work rate. I think he's got the passing ability. I think that he's a player that can drive forward. I think he can play in the 8. I don't look at him at all and think that he's an absolute waste of time. So for me, I don't really understand the hate that he gets from Chelsea. I don't really understand why he gets so much either. I think it's a bit of a crazy one, but I understand that I don't watch Chelsea every week. So I'm not going to sit there and say that he is one that I'm looking at to go and buy for Arsenal and that we need an 8 and we should be going and putting £50 million down for Conor Gallagher. No, I don't think we should be. Absolutely not. But Aston Villa are interested and Spurs are interested. Does that take them to a new level? Does it push the needle? Does it allow them to create something more than they've got? I think that's probably his level. I think at Spurs and Villa, I think he can actually be a part of a squad that can go on and do something towards Champions League football and compete in that respect. But I think it's weird that Chelsea are getting rid of him because he actually understands Chelsea. He's a player that I think is needed in the dressing room at least to be a part of that squad. He's a player that I look at this season in that squad and think, yeah, you're one of the ones that's giving 110%, that gets it, that's wearing the armband, that understand what it's like to be Chelsea, as they call it. So to get rid of him and Chalobah just proves to me that there's no understanding of this ownership at all. And that's why I wanted to finish on that, because for me, it's an absolute madness that Conor Gallagher and Trevor Chalobah are the other two players they're looking at getting rid of, on top of the players that have gone that understood Chelsea. It's absolutely mad for me. It really is. I have to say that. It's just nuts. So that's Chelsea. That's Chelsea. Oh, big up to Lee Gunner, man. He's rated as well. What's all this love? Gal, Lee Gunner, all of you guys rating. Absolute legends, man. Make sure you do me a favor. Go follow Lee Reacts as well as Lee Gunner. Absolute legends, man. Love to all of you for coming over from Lee Gunner's channel. I think it was the Spain game. I think they won, if I'm right. Someone let me know in the chat. I think they won 3-0. So big up to all of you, man. Absolute legends. Let's do some questions, shall we? Because we're here for some time. Let's look at this one. This comes in from Armaguna. Make sure you put your questions in. Put a Q at the start of it so I know exactly that it's a question. If you want to hit a super chat in, then of course you can put a super chat in. It will go to the front of the queue. We have got this from Leeds. Say it was 5-0. Do you know what? Don't rule out Spain, man, because Spain, they play some nice football, man. That's all I'm saying. I think people are sleeping on Spain and Germany a bit too much for me. And I think when people look at France and England, yeah, it's true, England should have a chance, but has anyone seen our manager? I'll leave it there. Big up to Lee, man, and big up to everybody else. Where's this question? This one's in from Amaril Guna, and it says, Dan, would you take Alvarez from City instead of Sesko? I wouldn't, but what do you think? I like Alvarez. I've got to say, though, I'm not 100% sure that he is a number 9. I think he's kind of one that drops off. I think for me, he'd be somebody that I look at that potentially could drop off as kind of more of a 10 And I'm not sure that we need that with Martin Odegaard. So let's see what happens, man. Am I missing something here? Is it Lee Gunner's birthday? That's terrible of me, man. I'm terrible with birthdays. Lee, happy birthday, my bro. I'm so sorry. I'm a terrible mate. I didn't text you. Happy birthday, my friend. And when you get to your age, you probably won't want to be shouting out how old you are, but I know how old you are. And happy birthday, my bro. I hope you have a great day, man. And please make sure you do me a favor. Go follow Lee Reacts and subscribe to him, man. Real one. Absolute ledge. Really appreciate the redirect as well, my guy. So really do. That's a absolute legendary thing for you to do on your birthday as well. So happy birthday, my guy. Thank you so much, man. Alvarez, we're not going to get him. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. Yeah. I would say Manchester City have got little to zero chance of sending Alvarez our way. Lee says, don't worry, Dan. Thanks, man. Tierney's birthday too. Big up Kieran Tierney, man. Oh, Dan loves Kieran Tierney. He's got an obsession with him. Yeah. Keep crying, people. He's still better than Zinchenko, and I stand by it. Big up, Lee. Absolute legend, man. Happy birthday, my bro. And also happy birthday to KT, another player that we look at that could be leaving the club. So I have to see where we are there. Get your questions in, people. Let's go to this next one. This next one is from Ryan. Says, Dan, would you rather 100 million striker and 100 million midfielder or 4 players at 50 million, including Sesko? This is what I was getting at the other day. I said to everybody that I want a 100 million pound striker and a 100 million pound midfielder, and the rest of the players we sell make up the squad players, which is a defender, a winger, and then somebody for Martin Odegaard that nobody seems to think that we still need. We've got Smith-Rowe that people are thinking about selling. We've got Vieira, who's no good. Who's coming in as this backup for Odegaard then? Because we've got to get somebody in, guys. We can't be sitting there saying that Martin Odegaard's the guy, and then what happens when he's injured? We try and play Havertz there again, which didn't work. So for me, when we're linked with Xavi Simons or we're linked with a player that could come in like Sagankov, I'm kind of understanding it a bit more now because I'm like, do you know what? Like, we actually do need somebody to replace Odegaard if he gets an injury. We still need Saliba cover. We still need Saka cover. And we've only got Declan Rice, who's the only box-to-box midfielder. So the £100 million striker and the £100 million midfielder might be our £200 budget, but that's why you've got to actually look at replacing some of these players and selling Eddie, Nelson, Marquinhos, Smith-Rowe, Vieira, potentially Party if he needs to go. At the back, you got to get rid of Zinchenko. You got to get rid of Tavares. You got to get rid of Tierney, Ramsdale because they don't want to be here. All of those players have then got to make up to get a backup like somebody like a Pedro Neto. You got to go and get somebody like a Yusuf Fofana as well as the big player that you bring in for midfield. There's a lot to do this window. You know, this is why me and Igal were clashing last night because for me, Igal's talking about youth academies coming through. For me, I've got to be honest, I don't mind what we do in the youth academy. And I kind of understood what he was meaning. We might buy some young players as well. But right now, I don't want any more young players. Yeah, we've got the young players. We need to now look at what we need to be getting into this first team. Because there's much people say that this bench needs looking at and this first team doesn't. I kind of disagree. I think the bench needs looking at, and I actually believe that this first team needs looking at as well, because the left-hand side needs sorting. And we have to be honest, the left-hand left centre eight needs looking at, the striker needs looking at, and potentially people might say the left-back needs looking at. So come on, man. We've got to be realistic about it for sure. Let's look next at this question from I'm a real gooner. Says, Dan, I love the podcast. 55 million nowadays isn't much of a risk, but 130 million pounds is one big risk. And that's why people are looking at Sesko and Osimhen. They're looking at Sesko and Osimhen and they're saying, which is the bigger risk? And that's a really good point to point out, bro. Paul at Paulinho, big up to you, says, would you sacrifice a guaranteed FA Cup win for a shot at the Premier League title? This is a really interesting one for me. I want to do that at the end of the season. Now, people will say, what do you want, just an energy drink cup? I never, ever called it the energy drink cup when we won it back in 93, 94. I never went over to George Graham and thought, he'll be disappointed with that. Tony Adams won't really be that happy. Paul Merson won't care. He's lifted that up. I grew up on these players. I grew up on Wrighties, Kevin Campbell's, Alan Smith's, Dennis Bergkamp's, Tony Adams, Martin Keown's. They were all doing that and they were loving doing that. They didn't go, yeah, but, you know, it's an energy drink cup. They did not do that. So whether it's an FA Cup, which people say is our cup, we've won 14 times. If people believe that to be true, then we need to respect them more. So I want to be seeing us going and respecting the domestic cups, man, because this has been an embarrassment. Our European record and domestic trophies under Mikel Arteta has actually been embarrassing in terms of how we've respected them or disrespected them since he actually won one. Now, listen, I like what Arteta's done in the last couple of years. He's put us in a title race. We've been challenging. But he needs to do that, man. And if it ain't with the Premier League or the Champions League, you can't throw the other ones in the bin. Not for me, anyway. That's not the way it should be, man. Dan, the purple logo looks much better. Listen, absolutely, we're going to channel rebrand and upgrade. So I appreciate you for letting me know. There's going to be a lot that you see on this channel over the coming weeks that will be a lot better in terms of its level. So please make sure that you support. Hit that like and subscribe. What are we at now, man? How many likes have we got, people? We're at 175 and there's nearly 700 people in here. Make sure you do me a favor and hit the like button. There's nowhere near enough of you that are hitting that like button. So please make sure you do that. Like and subscribe. If everybody subscribes now, we hit 20K. If everybody hits the like and subscribe now, we hit 20K. Please, please, please do that. Yeah. If we can get 20K tonight, that would be outstanding. So please make sure that you do that, people. And if you're watching on catch up as well, hit the like and the subscribe button and you'll hit us towards that 20K, which is what we are trying to get the community to. So big up to yourself. Right, where are we at next? It is from our good friend Elliot. Elliot has asked the question, Sesko or Osimhen, my friend? If I'm brutally honest with you, this is mad for me to say this because last season I would have snapped Osimhen up. I have a lot of doubts, and I think last season a lot of people were getting a lot of what like kind of, what's the word, overrating or over the top by this. I think if I'm honest, I don't watch the Italian league. I don't watch the Germany league. I'll put that out there first. I like more about what Sesko has about his game. I don't think Sesko comes into Arsenal and is elite, but I don't think Osimhen is either. I think Sesko is younger. I think Sesko is probably less money, so less of a risk. I think Sesko brings us height at 6'5". I've seen some of the headers he can get into. Good stuff. I like the fact that he's got that potential to be the player people are talking about. So I would probably, I'll probably go with him, which is probably mad for a lot of people, but that's what I'd probably be doing. It's mad for me to change, but football changes very, very quickly. This one comes in from Fish, says, Dan, do you rate Onana from Everton? This is another player we link with. Do I rate Onana? Yes. I do think he's more of a 6 than an 8. So if we're going to be selling Partey, I can understand why we might be linked with him or Zubimendi. But if we're not selling Partey, I'd be going all out for a Bruno and a Fofana. So I hope that answers that question. I do like Onana, but I think for 50 to 60 million, I think potentially what Everton want, I think we could probably put that towards somebody better. I would put it this way. Would I take Yusuf Fofana for 30 million or Onana for 50? I'd take Fofana. 100% I would. That's what I'd be doing. I know it's a player we've looked at before. I know it's a player we like. So, yeah, I would probably go with that, if I'm honest. But hopefully that's answered your question, my bro. Let's look at the last few questions. Where are we? We had a couple of questions. I'm trying to start them, people. So please make it easy for me by putting a queue at the start like these guys are doing. Lewis Brown, big up. He says, would you sell Martinelli and get a top left winger? Now, this is a really interesting question. And it's one that a lot of people are talking about. I really like him. I think he's an outstanding talent. I really like everything about his game. If I was to improve it, I think he needs to allow himself to be a little more composed and less rash at times. I do feel that sometimes he is a bit rash, but again, 22 years old, that will come with maturity. I don't like the way that he runs with his head down. I think he needs to get his head up. I think sometimes he needs to look at what's more around him and his spatial awareness at times. But Martinelli is a baller. He's a great finisher when he is in front of goal. I think he is one of the best along with Trossard in the club in terms of finishing. I think the tenacity and the professionalism and the attitude of the kid is phenomenal. And I do like him a lot. I would not sell him. Who are we going to go and get? Vinicius Jr.? No. Mbappe? No. So who are we going to go and get that's levels above Martinelli? Rafael Leao? Would you say he's levels above Martinelli? I wouldn't. I think he's a baller. But is he levels? I don't know that he is. Elise or Pedro Neto, are they levels above Martinelli? I don't think they are. So I think we need to be patient with Martinelli. The guy scored 15 goals and was his top scorer last season. People have forgotten about that. People are sort of just written him off because he's had a very poor season. Admittedly, poor season. I come out on one of my fan cams start of the season and I said, we've got the best left winger in the league. I said, he's better than Grealish. He's better than Mitoma. He's better than Rashford. he's better than the list goes on. And he let me down, man. He let me down this season. Does that mean I give up on him? No. Do you know what our saviour has been? Trossard. Nobody talks about Trossard. Trossard's in the first team right now. Martinelli's out, not in the first 11 for me. Not right now. I think overall, if I was picking the Arsenal side for the future, I'd look and go, Christ, we've got Saka on the right. Wow, we're going to have Martinelli on the left. But right now, Trossard gets in ahead of him. So that's where I'm at, man. How many likes we got, man? We've got 700 people in here. Big up to all of you. 223. Let's get that up to 500 people. Hit the like button. And more importantly, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. We are so close to this 20K. So I said 200K. Can you imagine? Maybe one day. It has to be. So please hit that like and subscribe button, because then we can get ourselves up to 20K. Where else are we with the questions? Let's get this question up next, which comes from Elliot. We've already had that one, my bro, so I did answer that one. Must have put that in twice. This one comes in from, would you take Greenwood from Manchester United? In a word, no. We move on. I'm not going into that. Question from Unreal Gooner. City don't treat it as an energy cup, and aren't we trying to get to where they are? Absolute facts. Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, and to be fair, any Chelsea manager under Roman Abramovich used to take the League Cup very seriously. Why? Because it was the first trophy you win in February, March time, and it breeds confidence. The winning of that trophy allows your team to win something, to go on to get the confidence to try and win something else. And for me, that is what Arsenal have lacked to try and do, because they've been trying to take these other competitions more seriously. And that has let us down, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that if we would have come 8th and won the League Cup, everything's rosy, but Arteta would have looked back and thought, you know what, in my first few years, it hasn't been amazing, but I've won an FA Cup and a League Cup, and I've got us title challenging. That would shut everybody up by saying he ain't won nothing. The reason they say that is because this team has not won nothing. He's won something at Arsenal, but it was with a team he's depleted now and got rid of. We need to get across the line. Big time we need to. So that's where I'm at with that one. Big up to all of you in the chat. Make sure you get your questions in. Keep them coming. This one is the Gunner Lowdown. Said, what about the Neves links? This is a really interesting one. He's not talking about Ruben Neves. Of course, he's over in Saudi. We are talking about João Neves, who is over at Benfica. A lot of people are saying, forget it, because of the price tag. The guy is ridiculous. I think the release clause is like 120. This is another Enzo Fernandez situation. If we wanted him, we'd have to pay that much money, from what I'm being told. So I honestly don't see this one happening. I really don't. What I will say, by the way, is he looks very, very good. And he is perfect for the position that we need. He's not a Declan Rice or a Jorginho or a Partey. He's definitely a number 8 who looks to me to be in the mold of... I hate comparing players, but I'll only ever compare with Arsenal players. It doesn't mean I think they're going to be as good. It means I think they're going to be as much. They've got the talent to be it. I think this kid, when I look at him on the ball, has a little bit of Santi vibes in terms of his quick feet. Now, I love Cazorla. He's one of my favourite Emirates era players. He's one of my favourite Arsenal players, actually. But I look at some of the clips and I think to myself, this kid's got some serious... He's a serious baller. That's all I'm saying. But we're not going to get him because he's ridiculous amount of money. Absolutely ridiculous. So Neves, I can't see it. I'm afraid. I can't see it. This one comes in from Amaral Good. It says, have we forgot what Anelka did at 19? No one rated him that much. Anelka, one of my mum's favourite players. Unbelievable talent. When he came in, I've got to say it now, I thought he was one of the best 18-year-olds I've seen at the club, man. I thought he was ridiculous when he came in. I thought, geez, this guy is unbelievable. I was a big, big fan of his, and one that perhaps we should have kept to Arsenal, but would we have had the players that we've had in our history? Would Henry and players like that been there? We have to look at it realistically, don't we? So there we go. I've got to bring this up because this guy's surname is an absolute legend. Definitely no relation, but Chris Potts, big up, man. Says Newcastle fan. I've subscribed, so the rest of you have no excuse. A good channel to follow. Listen, big up to you, Chris. Thank you so much for being one that subscribed. I need you all to do this, please, because tonight we've got to hit 20K. We've got a few hundred in. We've got 724 of you watching. I need just over 400 of you to hit the subscribe button. That's all I ask. Just hit subscribe and we can get to 20K and we can celebrate. That's what I'm asking. So please, tonight, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And we are pretty much there at 20K. Big up to you all. Big up to Chris as well. Let's get the next question up. Jack Hatch. Great question. Great question. Who would you sign as an 8 this summer? So I'm going to be realistic about this because João Neves, we've just mentioned, is going to be a ridiculous amount of money. Barella is an unrealistic target. It's just signing with Inter Milan. That's a player I like, by the way, in that position. But let's be real. There's two players that would be massive statement signings for Arsenal if they were to come through. One of them would be Bruno Guimaraes. I don't know that Newcastle were going to want to sell him. The release clause, I don't think Arsenal can do because the PSR wouldn't allow us to. If we're going to be getting him, it would have to be an agreement between Bruno and Arsenal, and Newcastle would have to say fair play, let him go. But it would cost as close to that 100 million as possible. It would be Declan Rice money, in my opinion. It would be between 80 and 100 million. They're not going to let him go for 60 or 70 or something crazy like that, like I'm seeing some rumours. Bruno Guimaraes is incredible talent. 26 years old, Brazil international, plays 6 and an 8 and can play both very, very well and would complement Rice and Erdegaard. I think that would be my number one. I think he's Premier League proven. It would be phenomenal. Manchester City, however, like him. And from what I'm hearing, I don't think he's desperate to get out of Newcastle. Some people think that he's like, I want to get out of Newcastle. Newcastle are rubbish. That's not the case, man. Newcastle got a project that's going to potentially take them to winning trophies. So don't be surprised if Bruno and Isak both stay. That's all I will say. That's all I'll say. The other one I would look at, if available, people will laugh at this because it's his wages. Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong is a player that I really do like and have done for a while. I think he is an unbelievable ball carrier. Would he be suited to the Premier League? League Gunner and some of the people at the Liga say no because they don't really think he's as great as what people make out. I really like him. I think he's a baller and always have thought he's a baller, and I think he'd be brilliant for us. He wants to follow in the footsteps of Mark Overmars, apparently. Well, he's played for Ajax. He's played for Barcelona. There's only one club that he ain't played for, and it's Arsenal. So I hope that answers your questions, my bro. Big up to Jack. Will, he says, are you happy with Raya in goal? I've mentioned this a few times. I'm not going to say no, I'm not happy. I'm going to say that I think we can upgrade still. And that might be mad because Mikel Arteta has had about 8 goalkeepers in the 4 or 5 years he's been here. And he started, believe it or not, with the best one. And he still has been the best one that I've seen in goal, Emi Martinez. Does he make mistakes for Villa? Absolutely. Has he been one of the best goalkeepers this season? Yes. Was he one of the best goalkeepers last season? Yes. Was he one of the best goalkeepers the season before that? Yes. And was he one of the best goalkeepers the season before that? Yes, because he was ours. So, yes, for the last 4 years, Emi Martinez has been one of the best and most consistent Premier League goalkeepers, and he was ours. And we got rid of him for Leno, who then went on to Fulham. And albeit, it's probably better than some of the goalkeepers we've had since then. I've not been a fan of Matt Ryan, Matt Turner, Runnison. I've not really been a fan of Raya in terms of his number one absolute. He's not an Alisson or an Ederson. And that's what I would go and do. And the top 3 that I'd have, Jan Black would be one of them. Michael Mannion would be another one. My number 1, however, would be Diogo Costa from Porto, who I think is going to be up there with Alisson, Ederson level. So that's what I would do and make Raya the number 2. But I don't think that's going to happen. Raya's going to be number 1. Ramsdale's going to go, and we're going to get a backup goalkeeper. And I don't know who's going to be. Justin Bilo, that's gone quiet now. It looks like Liverpool and other clubs are interested in him. Wojciech Szczesny's gone very, very quiet as well. Can't see that one happening now. So who are we going to go and get? I have no idea, but I think it will probably be someone that is very a deflating signing that we look at and go, well, let's hope we don't have to rely on him. It's been a strange position, the goalkeeper. It really has, under Mikel Arteta. So let's see what happens. I'm a real one, says Dan. I would love to get Eze. Now, Eze and Elise, I would be surprised if both of them went. I actually tip Crystal Palace under Glasgow to have a good season next season if they keep hold of their players. Because Mark Guehi, Adam Wharton, obviously they've got Lermorand, Decore, who people have forgotten about, who have been absolute beasts in the middle. They've still got Eze and Elise. Mateta's been absolutely balling out. So actually, when you look at what they've got, yeah, they've got a good player, a good team. And I think Palace could do well. I've got to say that. But let me be real with Eze. I don't see that happening. I really don't. Eze was playing at Arsenal when he was 12 years old. And I think it's Spurs that are actually linked with Eze. And Elise being linked with Chelsea. I actually hope they both stay at Palace. I don't want them going to their clubs because they're good players. They're absolutely ball out because they're brilliant. But Eze, I think, would probably be the one that I would look at as potentially being that kind of 8, attacking 8, that can play wide right and left. So I think would probably be a better option than Elise in terms of his versatility. But Elise looks absolutely cold, man. I can't lie. He really does. So I hope they both stay at Palace, if I'm honest with you. I don't want them. I don't think they'll come to Arsenal, so I don't want them going Chelsea or Spurs. That's for sure, man. But big up for the question, bro. This one comes in from Midas. Says, do you think we should sell Trossard now that he's still very highly rated considering his age? No, absolutely not. We do not want to be selling this guy. This guy has been phenomenal for Arsenal. And I honestly believe that he is one of the reasons that we had a chance of going for a title in the last couple of years. I think the contributions from January last year were fantastic. I think when you look at the contribution from this season, he's been phenomenal. Along with Saka, one of the top goal scorers, technically one of the best, definitely our best finisher at the club. Nah, man, I ain't selling him, mate. No, no way. That for me, we signed him for £26 million, man. What are we expecting to get back for him? Like, let's be real. I keep him till he's in his 30s, and then we decide to go and, back to Belgium with him, wherever he wants to go with his career in his late 30s. Because for me, I think the guy's a baller. We didn't buy him for pace. We didn't buy him for like that drive and energy. We bought him because he's technically gifted and he's a brilliant finisher. He is basically our Diogo Jota, in my opinion. So I think he's definitely 100% the guy that we keep. But good question, man. Really good to have that conversation in terms of debate. So I like that. This one comes in from Kay Bowers. Says, Dan, how likely would it be to get a window of Diamande, Neto, Fofana, Bruno Guimaraes or Douglas Luiz, Sesko, and a goalkeeper, 6 signings? Okay, you've just given me my dream window because Diamande is a defender that I absolutely want. He is the right-sided centre back that we absolutely need, in my opinion, because he's a beast, he's a monster, he's good defensively. I think he's got potential. He's only just turned 20, I believe, and he's an absolute beast. For me, he is the perfect replacement for if Saliba got injured. Absolutely perfect replacement for if Saliba got injured. We need to be looking at that realistically and saying that if he does get a knock again, who is going to play right centre back? Because Ben White is nowhere near as good there as he is at right back. Tomiyasu would probably be my first choice there, to be fair, who I do like there. But is he a huge drop off from Saliba? Potentially. But who is not? He's so good. I think Diamande would be perfect. The problem you've got is Diamande is probably more likely to, if he comes to the Premier League, go to Chelsea, Man United, or Liverpool, because he's going to be absolutely guaranteed first team football. And we can't guarantee any centre back first team football with Gabriel and Saliba there. It's the best partnership in Europe for me, definitely in the Premier League. So that's what we got to be looking at, man. As for Neto, I've mentioned him. He'd be an absolute baller. He's one that I do 100% want. I think it would be really criminal if he didn't come to Arsenal when he was for sale, if he does leave Wolves. Fofana, for £25 million, absolute steal, box-to-box midfielder, beast, physical attributes, someone I've liked for a while. Absolutely. Bruno G, I've just mentioned him, would be my number one in terms of a left 8. Or Douglas Luiz. I do like Douglas Luiz, and he can play 6 and 8, but I just prefer Bruno Guimaraes at the 2. Sesko, you've mentioned, and a goalkeeper. Yeah, I mean, that's what we need, bruv. That's what we need. We need a window like that. Are we going to get that? I kind of feel like we might get only 4 players. And I think that's going to be one in each department. Goalkeeper back up, centre back back up, midfield, and striker. Let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Let's look at the last few questions before we do come to a close. This is from Gids. How many signings do we need to make a statement to the league? I think we've just said that, 6. I think we do. I think the last time we signed 6 signings was when Arteta first came in with his first full window, where he bought Erdegaard, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Tavares, Lokonga, and there was one more, Ben White. That was the first time I thought, whoa, okay, 6 signings. That's impressive. I'd be amazed if we signed 6 this summer. I really would. But I kind of feel like we need that. Where are we at now? This comes in from Mansa Musa. Says, can you rank the areas we need incomings? Example, your first priority is a striker, second is a central midfielder. Okay, I'll be honest. The first priority for me is midfield. That left 8. 100%. 100%. For me, the left 8, Bruno G. That's the type that we need. That midfield. Then I go striker, number 9. Someone who's a killer in the box. Absolute killer. Guarantees you 2025 a season. They're the first 2 areas. The next area for me of priority, I would say, is a wide player that can play centrally. Xavi Simons, Pedro Neto, that type. That can come in and actually look to give Saka some break and Erdegaard some break. Because those 2 are playing way too many games. And then the order of priority after that is a defender and a goalkeeper. So you look at that and you do look at potentially 6 players, don't you? Yeah, at least 5. So you've got your goalkeeper, your centre-back, your right-sided winger that can play in the middle, your central midfielder, and your striker. And that's if we keep Partey, by the way, because if he goes, we need another 6. Yeah, if Partey goes, we need another 6 because Rice is going to be asked to play in that 8. Rice is going to be in that 6, and then we're going to bring that 8 in. we might need to be looking at another 6. So it's going to be interesting, unless you believe Jorginho is the guy. So, maybe he is that backup. So should be interesting. So that's where we're at. Last few questions. Where are we at? Waffle TV says, Dan, do you think we will actually win anything next season? Well, listen, I need to see a window first, bruv. Not as things stand, no, because I don't feel that Arsenal's squad right now is good enough to challenge on all 4 fronts, and I think that's what we need to. So personally, no. But if we have a good window, then yeah, absolutely. I think we have to. We go and spend another couple of 100 million. We've got to. We absolutely have to. So there we go. Big up to Paul, man. Says, sub Dan, even though you wear that City shirt, come on, you Spurs. Listen, bro, all welcome on here, mate, and I appreciate that. I really do. Make sure you're doing me a favor, people. Let's have a like check. Where are we at? There's 738 of you watching, and we're just shy of 300 likes. Let's make sure we do us a favor and get those likes up, please. And more importantly, don't just hit the like button, hit subscribe, because we are so close to 20k. Please, we need to hit that that subscribe button. Please, please, please. I beg you. Where are we at now? Let's do the last few questions here before we do come to a close, and you'll be redirected to Egal. So please make sure you stay tuned and don't go anywhere. There's 730 of you. I expect you all to be over on Egal's channel, because that's where I'll be heading. So make sure that you do that. Stay tuned. What's good, Dan? What's your opinion on Partey and whether we should hold on to him? I'm holding on to Partey. Sorry. Somebody comes in with 30 million, cool. They're not going to. So just keep him. It's final year. Just keep him. We're trying to make money off a Partey. We're not going to, man. No one's going to offer us 30 million for Thomas Partey. Yeah. If you keep Partey fit, Christ, he's worth 50 million. The guy's ridiculously good. But you're not going to. So that halves his price. So it's 25 million. I don't see the point. Unless you're going to get that, maybe you consider it. I think people honestly are going to take the piss and offer 15, 12, something like that. Just keep Partey. Because when he's fit, wrap him up in cotton wool, him and Jorginho backing up Rice, fair play. You go and buy your 8, that's a proper midfield. That's the way I see it, man. Man like Sam has said, would you keep Arteta next season if he gets us to the semis of the Champions League, comes second again to City, no trophy? If we do not win something next season, I do not understand why we cannot have a conversation about when this manager should be replaced. If he gets us to a final of a Champions League, if he gets us to a final of an FA Cup, takes us to the last game of the season and doesn't get us across the line, you may look at it and say, well, who did we lose to? Is there context to keep him? But we can't keep doing that. We have to make a decision about whether this team's good enough. If you think this team's good enough to get us across the line, is it the manager? If you think the team's not good enough, then you might look at the manager and go, well, the team's not good enough yet. But you'll ask the question why the team isn't good enough after another window, which would have been 10 windows by the time this guy's been here. So we have to have that conversation, mate, 100%. This one comes in from Miguel. Big up, bro. Says, Dan, name everyone you will sell. Okay, let me tell you the players I would actually sell at Arsenal. Ramsdale, I think, because, unfortunately, he has to go. He does not fit at Arsenal now. He has to go. I like him, but I would sell him. So that's Ramsdale. Kieran Tierney, love him, but he's going to have to be sold. He doesn't want to stay here, and the manager doesn't see him there. Nun Tavares is going to go. I also believe that we're going to look at Zinchenko going. That's 4, right? Already. In midfield, Lokonga is going to go. That's 5. I also believe that Vieira will probably be shipped out. I don't think he's good enough. Loaned or sold. I also believe Nelson will go. I believe Marquinhos will go or just be kept on loan and loaned out. And I think Eddie will go. So that's 9 players. Now, there could be more. Cedric and Elneny have also gone as well, if you count them, 10 and 11 players. So we're getting ahead of a hell of a lot. But most of those players weren't part of the squad, just gone. Most of those players will be gone because they're loaned out. The Teenys of this world, the Tavares, the Lokongas, the Marquinhoses, the Cedrics and Elnenys weren't even a part of it. So you can't look at it and go, wow, Arsenal got rid of 11 players and they're only bringing in 5. Wow, they must be short. No, because most of them weren't playing anyway. This is the problem. And let's be real, Arteta and Edu, from the praise they get, some of the players they brought in have been cack. Yeah, they've kept Cedric and Elneny around for too long. They kept hold of Tavares. Why? Why are we loaning him out? Just sell the guy. Even if we get a couple of million for him, just get rid of him. Zinchenko doesn't look like that's going to work out. Lokonga doesn't look like it's going to work out. Marquinhos doesn't look like it's going to come up work out. Now, some of them, don't get me wrong, are players that aren't going to be a huge risk because they weren't massive money. But we put Nelson and Eddie on a lot of money. We signed Vieira for £38 million and it hasn't worked. So we need to be realistic about the praise we give them and the criticism they get as well, man. 100%. Let's go to Lewis. Would you like Arsenal to sign David De Gea as a backup keeper? Do you know what? I spoke to Troops and he actually said he would. He said he would 100% take David De Gea. And do you know what? Ask me now whether I want Jason Steele at Brighton, Wojciech Szczesny, or Justin Bailo, or David De Gea. I'm taking De Gea. Now, De Gea's not going to want 300k a week. He'll probably take 150k a week to play football again. I'm taking him as a backup, man. 100% I would. I'm 100% taking him. And you know what? He might even rival David Raya sometimes. That's the mad thing. That's how much I don't actually rate David De Gea as much as some people do. I think he's a good goalkeeper. Don't think he's elite. So let's see what happens. Listen, people, I need you to do me a favor. Come to the end of the show, which means we're going to be redirecting to Igal right now, who's live in literally 1 minute time. So please make sure you do me a favor. I need you to hit the like on this video. I need you to subscribe. We tonight should be able to, if you promise me you'll do it, hit 20k. So please, people, there's nearly 800 of you watching. This is unbelievable tonight. Thank you so much for what you are doing. I really appreciate all the support that you're giving me. Please hit like and subscribe. That's all I ask, please, because then I can get to 20k, which is the target that we do for the community, and we'll do something special for it to celebrate with all of you. Massive thanks to all of you for being here. Big up to you. Smash the like and subscribe as you leave. You're going to head over to Igal. Don't press anything. Yeah, don't press anything. He's a minute away. I'm going to go over there as well. So make sure that you do that and support Igal, who always supports this show as well. Love to the Arsenal. Love to all of you for being here. Love for your super chats and, of course, your questions. And we'll see you next time. Take it easy and up the Arsenal. Laters.